So there's a quote that says, women use sex to get love, and men use love to get sex. Now, whether you agree or disagree with that statement, I think we can agree that there are a lot of women out there who have felt or who have attempted to use sleeping with a man as a way to gain more favor in his eyes, as a way to make him fall in love, so to speak, things of that nature. And the reality is that though it can contribute to a man becoming attached to you, a man wanting to use you, uh, a man keeping you around, it's not what really makes him fall in love, right? And though it's an important part of a marriage down the road, if it ever gets to that point, again, there's a greater foundation of things that need to be established or discovered in order to ensure that this can be a long-term successful relationship. So there's things I want to lay out for you that men need more than sex that will make him fall deeply for you. Okay? And again, I know sex is a big issue for a lot of people, but let's go beyond that, okay? Because there's another quote I want to say real quick. When the love is real, it goes much deeper than the physical. That's a very good one to remember. But let's get into things a man needs more than sex to fall deeply for you. And one of the big things is he needs your ability to build him up and not break him down. Okay? So what do I mean? One, let me address something real quick in regards to this point. Because sometimes I see some of y'all comments and I see some of y'all say stuff like, oh, these men are so fragile. What is he, a kid? What, all these little complaints. And it's like, wait a minute here. I don't know if there's anyone who wants to get into a relationship, right? And share life with someone who's going to be negative towards them, speak down on them, who isn't going to be mindful and gentle with their words. And of course, some people have thicker skin than others, so they can handle a little bit more than the next person. But at the end of the day, who doesn't want someone that can speak to them in love, with positivity, right? So we shouldn't minimize that or dismiss it as some like men are too fragile. But here's the reality. Yeah, he is. A lot of men are. A lot of men emotionally can be very fragile, and more specifically, fragile when he actually really likes you. All right? The more a man is into you, the more sensitive he is to your words, to your energy, to the way that you deal with him in general. Okay? So he needs, if he's gonna embrace his interest in you and fall for you deeply, he needs to know that you can speak life into him rather than suck the life out of it, right? And here's the reality. So many men have witnessed or hear stories of other men who their woman sucks the life out of them, right? And how miserable that man is living in that kind of environment. Now, I know some of y'all may say, well, if she's doing that, that must be something that he's doing wrong and all these different things. And don't get me wrong. There are, of course, some situations where the man is contributing to the issue and is in his own way, causing problems for her, so on and so forth. But there are tons of, I think you guys would be shocked to find out how many stories out there, how many situations exist where the man is genuinely a good man, pouring into that woman, doing everything he can for that woman, and she is just abusing him. Because you have to understand that, unfortunately, not every woman gets with a man with genuine intent, all right? And some are doing the same things that you guys may feel men do, which is they get with a man they can use, manipulate, control, so on and so forth, and they don't really care for. And that kind of woman is going to abuse that man in various ways. But anyways, getting back to the main point, your ability to build him up and break him down. I think for some of you, you may not even realize how negative you speak sometimes to people in general, right? And you may view it as, well, I'm just being real. I'm just being honest. And it's like, okay, you can be honest and real, but you can still speak with love. And sometimes you're hiding behind, I'm honest and real, but in reality, you're rude. In reality, you might be a little arrogant. In reality, you might be a little miserable. And I say that not disrespectfully. I'm just saying that because it's what's going on. And you may have, and it may not be that at your core that you're truly a miserable, bad person, but there might be a lot of negative energy that you need to release that, because you haven't, is getting in the way of how you communicate and interact with others. So how you speak to him, your ability to build him up is extremely important. Now, here's another quote I love. I say, a man needs a woman that believes in him, but a man has to give a woman something to believe in. So I am not ignoring the fact that the man has to come correct too. He has to give you something to work with. No doubt about that. However, what I will say to you is that if you don't feel like he's giving you something to work with, if you don't truly actually believe in him, why are you with him? Then don't move forward with him. You know, that's not a guy you should try to make it work with. And I see it happen all the time. You can't lean on, well, he's not this and that, but you're going to stay with him anyways. Then all we're doing is creating an unhealthy relationship. So plain and simple, yes, your ability to build him up, not break him down, that is going to be huge in him falling deeply for you. All right, so another thing a man needs more than sex to fall deeply for you is your transparency and honesty, okay? Now, I'm not gonna lie, I was a little hesitant with the honesty part because I think there's some truth to where if women were 100% honest with men about certain things, there's a lot of guys who couldn't handle it, right? But that should not stop you from being honest. But let's put a pin on the honesty part for a second. Let's focus on transparency. So one of the issues I come across, and you got to remember, I have clients who are men, I have clients who are women, I have clients who are couples, I have them all, okay? And one of the common frustrations I hear from the men is the confusion from the woman, because she's not being transparent. She's not letting him know what the issue is. She's not expressing herself fully. And I understand that a lot of women may feel like, oh, no, we tell them what we want, and all these. Listen, some do, but many of you, or maybe someone you know, isn't being as transparent as you would like to believe, okay? Isn't as clear. You know, it kind of reminds me of how I always say women are some of the worst hint droppers, right? If you ask the woman, she dropped the man all kinds of hints that should be obvious, but then you speak to the man and he's completely oblivious to what she's trying to communicate, okay? It's like we think differently, we're wired differently, so therefore, the man doesn't always receive a lot of the indirect communication that some women engage in. And for that man, that's not a safe place to be. And I use that specifically because I know we talk about the need for a woman to feel safe in her relationship, which is completely true. But I think we overlook how men want a level of safety in their relationship too, a level of certainty, and they know what's going on with their woman in their relationship. And again, we're focusing on the man who is genuine, who actually desires relationship, who actually likes you. Of course, the guys who aren't serious and playing games, none of this will matter, right? If he's the wrong guy, he's the wrong guy. If he's a narcissist, he's a narcissist. This stuff won't matter. But you got to understand that there are plenty of men who were good men, but things didn't work out because certain issues like this can throw everything off. So a lack of transparency can be very frustrating because I'm sure you've heard men say, we're not mind readers. The man does not know what you're thinking. And if you're not being transparent about it, that can lead to a lot of miscommunication, misunderstanding, which then can turn into other issues arising. And all of it could be solved if we just sat down and talked about it. Now, I believe what's important, because remember, this video is about what makes him fall deeply for you, is establishing that transparency as early as possible, okay? And when we're in that dating phase, not just waiting for an issue to arise to talk about things. No, establishing with each other how we want to discuss issues, how we want to fully express ourselves to each other. Maybe creating as what I call like a relationship checkup, right? And this can be done. I usually suggest it when people are actually in a relationship, right, or in marriage. But I believe it can happen even in dating if two people are very serious and intentional about seeing if we can go to the next level with each other. And basically the relationship checkup is establishing like that, whether it's once a week, once a month, whatever, where we sit down and we get to discuss the things that we like, the things that we don't like, and see, are these fixable? Are these symptoms of maybe we're not a good fit for each other? Whatever it is, so that we can have that communication and that clarity to move forward in the best way possible. And I think that for so many, if they would do that, they might be able to nip things in the bud way sooner before it becomes an issue. And for some, nipping in the bud might just mean, okay, we're realizing we're not really a good match for each other. Let's not push this any further and create potential issues if we let this linger on. So bottom line, transparency, huge deal. And it reminds me of one time I heard a celebrity say, you know, the woman he married knows how to tap into her logical side, and how much he appreciated that, because he meant logical also in just being clear and transparent with what she's thinking, how she's feeling, and how refreshing that was for him, right? And that made him appreciate his partner even more. And I think for a lot of men, they would appreciate that to the highest level, and it would contribute to them falling deeply for you. All right, so another thing that a man needs more than sex to fall deeply for you is your appreciation, all right? I always say appreciation breeds production. When people feel appreciated, they will do more of what they're being appreciated for, in many cases. At least a genuine good person will, okay? And in today's world of dating and relationships and even marriage, so many men do not feel appreciated. So many men feel like nothing they do is good enough. Now, something is hitting my spirit. I have to speak on this right real quick, okay? Because this is an issue that happens very much so at all levels of the dating relationship dynamic. And that is the fact that, let me paint this scenario. There could be a man, and let's say for months, he's on point. He's pouring into you. He's doing for you. He's showing up in the way that he needs to. He is a great freaking man. And then one day, something happens and he drops the ball for whatever reason. He forgets something, you know, he didn't call you back that day. Something happens that pisses you off or hurts you, whatever the case may be. And then what happens is, it's like those whole 3 months are good are forgotten. And all it is the mistake that he made. But it's one thing to just lock in on the mistake. But it's another thing to, even in some situations, be like, oh, you're not serious. You don't really love me. Like undermining everything because of the moment at this moment, the mistake that he's made. And that can be very frustrating, very hurtful, and very exhausting. All right. And I think it's important that you understand as a woman to do, and of course, I understand some mistakes in the moment are way too big to simply overlook or to not overshadow all the good. I get it. But keep things in perspective. All right. And you can still address the current issue, the current mistake, while not devaluing and dismissing all the other good that he's engaged in. All right. You can still acknowledge those things, but say, hey, but this is still a problem and we got to fix it, right? And learn not to just dwell on that, and remind yourself this is a man who's been showing up for you correctly all this time. So just wanted to share that with you. But getting back to the general idea of appreciation, a lot of men feel like women today have a very entitled mindset. And the things that they do for a woman, the mentality is, well, you're supposed to do that, rather than thank you for doing that, rather than I appreciate you doing that, rather than I see your effort, right? And again, if someone feels like what they're doing is never enough, they'll just stop doing anything at all. Now, you'll have some situations where you can lack appreciation and that man just keeps trying. But I'm going to tell you right now, that's not a man falling deeply for you. That's a man infatuated with you. That's a man obsessed with you. That's a man who has an unhealthy attachment to you. Okay? Because a man who's genuinely into you or even loves you, it's going to hurt when you keep not showing appreciation. And that hurt is going to beat him down to where he's not going to have the same energy or level of effort that he had before. All right? And don't get me wrong, if I was speaking to men right now and he's in that situation, I wouldn't co-sign saying, "Oh yeah, just stop doing what you're doing." No, I would tell him, "Hey, go talk to the woman, express how you feel for him to be transparent and forthcoming about things and see if she's willing to now make the necessary corrections." But this video is talking directly to you as a woman, and so I just want you to be mindful of how you're showing up in those ways. I also feel the need to say this before we move on to the next point. For a lot of women, the struggle to show appreciation is tied to the struggle to be vulnerable. And it is due to the walls that she has up from past hurts and disappointments in her life, okay? So if you struggle to show appreciation, or you're even in your head thinking, why do I gotta do all that? There's a very good chance you have some blockage there that you got to heal in order to release that blockage, because showing appreciation should be embraced by everyone. It should be second nature to people. And granted, some may be show more than others, and what that appreciation looks like as well is something that you should discuss with your partner, with your potential partner, so that you're, on the same page as them, right? But in general, we should always be accepting of the idea that appreciation is necessary, and appreciation definitely is going to help him fall more deeply for you. All right, so let's keep this thing going. And another thing a man needs more than sex to fall deeply for you is your awareness. All right, so let's break this down. Respectfully. and I love y'all. I don't ever say anything to hurt y'all or make anyone mad, even though sometimes people get mad at me. A lot of women can be very emotionally selfish. And because of that, they become very unaware or emotionally unaware. So what I mean is, they're so caught up in their own feelings, perspectives, desires, that they don't realize they're completely overlooking his, that they're even dismissing how he feels, okay? And that lack of awareness, and there's other layers to this, but that lack of awareness is very off-putting. That lack of awareness can very much plant the seed that will destroy the relationship in the long run, or stop it from even becoming anything serious, okay? And it's not that I would want a woman to, like, your feelings matter. Don't get me wrong. Your feelings matter. I want you to express yourself. I want you to be aware of what you need and what's important to you, but I also want you to not get so lost in it that you cannot hear him out, that you cannot understand his perspective, or even be able to embrace it. Now, there's going to be scenarios where what he needs, what his desires are, what his feelings are, simply don't align with you. And you guys are just not a good fit, so be it, right? But there's a lot of times where if you just stop and you listen, and again, you take your emotion out of the processing of what he's saying. That's the key. Like, I don't want you to reject how you feel about things, but I need you to remove it when processing him expressing himself and understanding what he's trying to communicate to you. And that level of emotional awareness, emotional intelligence, right, is going to go a long way, because again, there's a lot of men who feel like women are very selfish. And I know to women, it's like, what are you, crazy? Men are the selfish ones. But it's like, I think some of y'all just don't realize how many women operate within relationships. All right? Because sometimes you can have a woman who is all a sweet, loving, friendly person, whatever. But in a relationship, there's a different side to them that you don't see. So you don't understand how she's coming across when she's dealing with men. All right? And that's due to various reasons, but that's a whole different video. So bottom line is that emotional awareness, emotional intelligence is important, but I want to go beyond that. It's still tied to emotional intelligence, but it's the awareness of, for example, you see your man's in a bad mood, right? It ain't got nothing to do with you. He's having a bad day at work, whatever the case may be. Your awareness to understand this ain't the time to be trying to stress him out about something. This ain't the time to ask him, why didn't you take the garbage out yesterday? if you were in a relationship or marriage and you're living with this man. Either way, like, you got to be wise about when you address certain things. And if you see he's in a bad mood, be aware enough to say, okay, this is a moment to pour into him, to bring love and peace, right? To bring some calm to his storm. Same way I would tell a man, all right? So again, yes, this goes both ways. I know a lot of y'all, it goes both ways. Yes, of course it does. But you got to be mindful of your part, the role that you play. So things like that, this is just coming to mind. But even like the issue of correcting a man in public versus in private, right? And it's one thing to correct him. It's nothing to embarrass him. It's nothing to check him in front of other people that it belittles or emasculates him. Like, if you don't understand that, it shows a lack of awareness. Okay? Now, if that's a dynamic that you and your partner are cool with, so be it, but for most people, most men aren't going to appreciate that. So showing awareness, understanding there's a time and place for everything. That's what it really boils down to. Having that understanding in all aspects definitely makes you a more desirable partner and makes you someone he can fall deeply for. All right, so now before we continue, I just want to give you a quick opportunity to get your copy of my book, How to Get a Man to Cherish You. Do not let the title throw you off. I know some people feel some kind of way when they hear the title. Trust me, it's a great book. It's a healthy book, and it's going to help you in establishing and receiving the love that you deserve as well in a relationship, all right? Go to becherishedbyhim.com or click the link in the description or in the comments section. Now, moving on to the next point. Excuse me. Another thing a man needs more than sex to fall deeply for you is your desire. Okay? So let's just discuss this within the context of, let's use a marriage as an example. Okay? And there's a lot of people who are married right now, and you have some situations where it's a sexless marriage. You have some where, okay, they're having some sex, but it's very infrequent, right? And then you do have some situations where, and of course you have situations where it's a great sex life, they're good to go. And then you have this other scenario where the woman will have sex with him when he wants to, right? But one, she never initiates. And two, even when she does have sex with him, she's not really into it like that. So she's like, all right, I'm gonna take one for the team. I'm gonna do my duty, whatever, however you want to call it, phrase it. But that energy's not really there. And there's a lot of women who think that simply giving him the sex is good enough. But what they overlook is the fact that, yeah, he's your husband and he wants to feel desired by you. He wants to feel like you want him. He wants to feel like you're attracted to him. Not that you'll just lay down because he actually laid down. Now, are there some men that exist like that who just want you to lay down? Yeah, I'm sure there are. They are. But a lot of men take issue with that because they don't feel desired by their partner. And so that's why in the example of the marriage, the willingness to even initiate is such a big deal for a lot of guys. Because that's what communicates to him you have desire for him. It is not just him that has to initiate everything. Now, let's go before marriage. Let's just go in dating, right? And let's just consider the example of even someone who's not having sex yet, because not all about sex. Though sex is a big thing, but it's not all about that. You can still make a man feel wanted, desired, and that you're attracted to him without having sex with him. All right? It's your willingness to be affectionate, your willingness to compliment, right? And even just flat out even expressing desire to that man. All of that can go a long, long way. And it can really make a man more drawn to you. Like I've brought up before how there was a study once done, or there was a book where they surveyed people after getting their marriage license, and they were asking the men, why did you marry this woman? And one of the top reasons they received from the men was because she liked me. And what that was saying is a lot of men, most men, are used to having to be the one doing the pursuing, expressing the desire, right? And putting the effort to make things work. But they're not receiving that energy in return. Again, at least when it comes to feeling desired, that they're really liked, and all these things. So when a man is liked by a woman and she's willing to express that, that feels great. And that draws him in, because people want to be where they're appreciated, where they're loved, where they're valued, where they're desired, things of that nature. And that attraction that she has towards him and willing to express makes him more confident, makes him feel better about himself as a man. It really pours into him. So don't think of this from the sex perspective. And again, that's why the video is about what he needs more than sex. He just needs your desire, right? And it could be simple things like, I want to see you today, or I miss you. Like, whatever, right? And again, being affectionate, giving compliments, all these different things. So I don't want to just keep repeating the same thing over and over again. The bottom line is your desire goes a long way and will definitely contribute to that man falling deeply for you. All right, so a couple more to go. And another thing that men need more than sex to fall deeply for you is your loyalty. Now, I know some of you may be thinking, why in the hell would I be loyal to a man if he's not my husband? And I get it. Now, some of you might be saying, no, okay, as long as we're at least in a relationship, whatever. Right now, let's not focus on where you're at in the dating phase. Let's just focus on the concept of loyalty plays a huge role in a man falling deeply for you. Because if there's one of the things that men take issue with women, or they perceive women as, is being unloyal, all right? Whether it be because they view it as the issue of hypergamy. I don't know if you've heard of that before, but it's the whole idea of women always looking for that better level up of a man. So basically, she's dating this man, she meets a man who makes more money, more successful. If she can upgrade, she's gonna upgrade, right? I'll make a video another time breaking that whole thing down with hypergamy and going more into it. But anyways, there's a perception of, there's even a saying by some men, you might hear it on YouTube, she's not yours, it's just your turn, right? So basically saying, all right, you're going to get your opportunity now, but don't think you're going to get to keep her. She's going to be on the move the first chance she gets to. It's also due to the fact that the statistic shows 70% of divorces are initiated by women, right? So there's a lot of men who, again, add that to their perception of women are not loyal. Now, I understand that stat on the surface is very misleading, and there's a lot more context that needs to be added to it. But the point is, it is a stat that contributes to how men view women as not being loyal. So, with that said, when a man perceives you as loyal, or at the very least more loyal than the average woman, that goes a long way. Because men want to feel secure in the sense of, all right, I don't have to worry about this woman just leaving me at the drop of a dime. I don't want to worry about this. If I have a moment of struggle, she's going to drop me, you know what I'm saying, and walk away. Or that we done build a life together, have kids, and then she leaves and takes half because now she wants to get divorced, whatever the case may be. Now, again, of course, I understand there's more to it than just a woman getting up and just leaving. But men need that. And so the way that that plays out in the dating phase, the relationship phase, is, and of course, there needs to be a discussion with the guy. But I do believe that, I'm gonna put it like this. I was recently speaking to a client who a woman advised her that men like women who are desirable, and therefore you should tell this man that you're dating a bunch of other guys. Okay? And I don't want to get into that whole, because I told her that I was wrong in a lot of ways. But what I want to focus on here is that if that guy values loyalty and he views you as, oh, you're just all over the place, that's not going to make him feel more secure about your ability to be loyal and be with one man, right? Right or wrong, fair or not, I'm just telling you. Some men won't care, a lot of men will care, okay? And it just speaks to that whole issue. So I believe that the ways that this play out as far as showing loyalty is just, one, really making sure that if when you're dating intentionally. I do believe that as long as you're single, you are free to see whoever and however many you want, right? But I think that you have to be honest with yourself about what you can handle. And if you're able to properly evaluate multiple men at a time versus just lock into one guy. And you don't owe him that. That's not for him, that's for you, okay? But I am letting you know how the perception can come about of your ability to be loyal or not if you are dating a bunch of different men at the same time that he's aware of, okay? But I think that I don't want you going out of your way trying to show you're some loyal woman. Again, I want you to be yourself. I just want you to be aware of these things, right? And there's not that many examples, at least not coming to mind right now, that I can give on how you can show that, at least in the dating or relationship process, other than just being someone who respects her man. You don't entertain other men. You know, when you are with this man, you don't let other men disrespect them through how they communicate with you on the side and all these different types of things. Those are the things that will help swing it towards, oh, I have a loyal partner versus I gotta keep my eye on her. Okay? So just be aware of that and understand how it plays into a man falling deeply for you. All right. And so this is a big one. I think this kind of encompasses all that we've been talking about, but there's a little bit more I want to add to it. And so the other thing that a man needs more than sex to fall deeply for you is your vulnerability. Okay? And so the way to look at that is this. For there to be true love, there must be vulnerability. It goes hand in hand. And if you want a man to fall deeply for you, well, that's harder to do if you have walls up that's keeping you from being vulnerable, not allowing you to fall deeply for him. Like if you're trying to guard yourself so much to where you're constantly holding back, that's going to create problems. I always say the same walls you have up to protect you are the same walls blocking your blessings. And so you've got to work on getting those walls down and understand that the walls are not what protects you. God is. God's guidance is what protects you. Praying and listening to your intuition, listening to your spirit is what protects you. But the walls only block blessings. Well, let me not say only, but they block a lot of blessings. Okay? So you got to be willing to be vulnerable. That's going to start also with healing. Addressing the past disappointments and hurts, making sure you release those things from your spirit so that you can really walk ready for what you desire, ready for that love and that great relationship and that man falling deeply for you. Because understand this, just as you may have some concerns and fears and past traumas, well, the man does too. And if he sees hesitation in you and doesn't understand what's going on, he sees you holding back, well, that can contribute to him holding back. And there's been a lot of situations that did not flourish because you had two people both holding back, both scared, both not embracing the vulnerability necessary to see the full potential of their relationship. Matter of fact, you got some people married right now who have never seen the full potential of their marriage because neither have truly, fully been vulnerable with each other. All right. Again, that's a whole different breakdown I got to do in the video, but it's a real thing. So your vulnerability, look at it this way. It's kind of like that. You got to give what you want to receive. Your ability to be vulnerable, if he's genuine, if he really is into you, it frees him up to be more vulnerable, right? And now we can grow in love even more, or we can nurture the love, not grow in it, but nurture it and really see it come to its full fruition, all right? So vulnerability is necessary. And I'm going to give one more thing to this. Vulnerability in your willingness to even listen to him, all right? Listening to him when it comes to him trying to lead with love, listening to him when it comes to him expressing his feelings and desires and concerns, right? Listening to him as far as really understanding him, not trying to get him to be who you think he should be, but figuring out who he really is and seeing if that truly works for you or not. All of that requires vulnerability. And when you embrace it, you will either be able to accelerate the ability for him to fall deeply for you, or you'll be able to see more clearly that you two are in alignment. Either way, it will allow you to receive what is truly best for you. Thank you for watching this video. I pray it was helpful to you. Be sure to watch this one over here on the 14 secret ways to make him worry about losing you.
And if anything, taking these steps will magnify even more whether he's right for you or not. Because if you do all the stuff on this list,